that is progged by the wind vector to be over ground zero when the weapon goes off. We would intercept it about 2 hours upwind. And then we would fly 9270, we'd fly back and forth through that air mass. Not like we were sampling, where we'd use a constant bank and drift with the wind. Because we didn't want to see, if you're drifting with the wind, you're in the same part of the air mass. And we wanted to go out, take slices, horizontal slices across the air mass. So we slice through it, 90, 270, come back and keep doing this until we got to the place at which H minus 15, which means we were 15 minutes of wind vector time away from ground zero. At that point, we would turn to a breakaway heading, put tail to ground zero, and then we had 15 minutes of separation of our ground speed from ground zero when the weapon went off. Okay? The engineers would tell us the amount of time for our mission, for any mission in the air. We sometimes had 30, 35 airplanes in the air when the weapon went off. Okay? The Air Force did, collectively. We would only have 2 WB-50s, Crazy Man and the mission flying the Synoptic every day. So they would tell us time between H, when the explosion went off, and when the Mach-Y stem, the shock wave, would pass our aircraft. They'd give us minutes and seconds. And tell us what the overpressure would be, the delta PSI overpressure. One of the things we would do is we would normally fly pressurized. We would depressurize the aircraft, keep the fuselage from oil can. So when depressurized, we couldn't tell when the shock wave went by, except we watch our vertical velocity indicators, because that high pressure, that shock wave going by, would flick the vertical velocity indicator, and we know that it had gone by.
And they're pretty accurate with their...
Oh, God, were they good. They were good. The engineers at Lassell and LRL were superb.
You need to put all this stuff down on paper someday and just send it to us.
We've been after him. About capturing that. I saw an outline one time.
Yeah, I did that one time.
But don't let it go forever.
Yeah,
it's still relatively fresh in your mind.
I could get my mother to do it, so I shouldn't make the same mistake.
Again, it doesn't have to be fancy or polished, but just put something down on paper, because we would love to have.
Yeah, sure.
Everybody?
So we added extra inverters to get power for the SLAR, etc. That blister up there, that scoop, is not standard. And if you look at other B-50 pictures, I think you won't see that.
What's that? I just noticed that. Is that another spoiler right there?
I don't know what that is. Yeah, the little, it looks like a little tent.
Tent, right.
What about that? It looks like a spoiler.
Yeah, but it's really strange. Because
I wonder if there's a matching one on the other side.
Is there?
I said I wonder if.
I'm going to go look. Yes, there is.
Well, it's certainly on purpose.
Huh.
Were you saying earlier that the nose cone is installed upside down?
No, it's correct now.
Oh.
We changed it upside down for the test here. The test engineer
There's another one, whatever it is.
for the recce systems is the same guy, Jim Krause, who was the test engineer for the gunship. And the original gunship, the original Spooky AC-47, the flight test work for that was done with people in the Aeromed lab. John Simons, Paul Bunch, Ed Sasaki. The original test work to prove the concept of gun sight in the left window was done in JC-131Bs here. And then eventually Ron Terry, who was the test pilot, and John and Ed Sasaki, who was the engineer doing the research about the gun sight, went to Washington to brief General LeMay. He was chief of staff at the time. And the first time they went, schedule change occurred. They didn't get to brief General LeMay. They had to go back later. And they briefed him. And he looked at it, his potential, and he says, I want this airplane operational in Vietnam in 30 days.
30 days.
We hadn't modified it a C-47. All this stuff was done on a JC-131B. So panic. Where to find airframes, get them modified, get the guns, get them installed, and then try and fly a C-47 across the Pacific. Okay?
Oh my God.
Flying a C-7 across the Pacific is difficult. Okay?
Let
alone an AC. So they had to design island hopping for refueling to get them to Southeast Asia. And there's something you want.
What's that?
I have gun camera film.
Oh, do you?
From the original AC-47.
Really?
When I was here in flight test, each summer they had a third lieutenant program, and they brought cadets from the Air Force Academy through, and they got to visit the labs and facilities and everything. And each of the directorates in ASD had an hour with the cadets, briefing them, etc. So I was part of the team doing the briefing for flight test. And one of the things we put in the film that we put together for that was gun camera film from Ron Terry's operational missions, the original AC-47 missions in Vietnam.
We'd love to have that. We'd love to have that.